Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
Well, this is a first for us. It certainly is for me. For Wednesday night experience, this is our first time. What we wanted to do was to offer an opportunity to field questions from you guys on spiritual life, on your spiritual journey in particular. If there are some questions that you have, understandings, if you're trying to square something from your experience growing up, from what you were taught, from the Bible, from some form of spiritual question, we are really here to put our experience together and to offer an opportunity to bring everybody up to the same understanding at the same time, because that we felt like that was better than one-on-one in front of everybody. So thank you so much for joining us in this great experiment to see how much fun we can have. And I will ask that you please come up to this microphone, and when you ask your question, that way everybody can hear it. They can hear it from you, and you can ask one of us by name if you choose, but you can also just throw the question out, and we will fight over it. That's what I thought, we would do. I don't know. We'll figure something out. So that's what we really wanted to offer. So. The time starts now. What would you like to know? We will tell you our thoughts on God, and you ask us a question, because really that's what the Eastern teachers do, is they don't come and do many talks. They do very short talks, but mostly they listen and answer the questions, because those are the ones you want to know the answer to, not the answers that we think we have. So just let me know. What would you like to ask? Just come right on up. Don't be shy.
So this first question is personally toward each one of you. I would take it there came a point in your spiritual growth when you made the choice to become a Unity minister. I'd like to know, was it for each of you, was it a epiphany? Was it something that just came in the night and said, I want to do that? Or is it something that led you? Or was it a family member who encouraged you? I'm just curious to know, I think we all are, to know why you chose Unity.
Ooh, I did not see that coming. Who would like to start? I think we start there.
Thanks for that question, Keith. I'm on the hot seat. Feel it. Feels hot. So I had a calling experience. I was not thinking about being a minister. I was a performer, and I loved doing that. And I went to a church with performers, people in the arts in New York City, Unity of New York, and our minister gave a talk about how as he became a minister, he realized that all the different jobs, because when you're he was an actor before he became a minister, all the different jobs he had were preparing him for ministry. And it was a really great talk. And this was in January of 2009. So it was right when Obama was about to be inaugurated. So everybody was talking about hope and change. And I was just really open at that point. I felt myself my consciousness was really open to possibilities. And we went into meditation at that service, and it was just revealed to me in an out-of-time, deep spiritual experience. It's hard to explain that I was here to be a Unity minister. It was very clear. I had taken one class, okay? I took the class to become a member. That was the only class I took. And just said, okay, God. I mean, I got the impression that I could say no, but it really just felt like it was the next thing for me, and so I just followed step by step by step, and here I am.
I guess mine is pretty similar. I was a performer, and I met someone who became fascinated with Unity, and we ended up getting married, and I had a thought of maybe becoming a Unity minister, but I came up in this very old-fashioned Southern tradition when it wasn't cool to be in the same job or career or whatever as your husband, because, you know, the woman should do this and the man should do that. And so I put that off, and I decided to become a licensed Unity teacher, which I love because I love to teach. I love to teach. So I became a licensed Unity teacher, and I loved what I was doing, but then I found myself doing so much to support him in building this amazing ministry that we started. But I kept being pulled toward ministry, and then he said I couldn't be married to another minister. And so in that moment, I said I had to choose between God and my husband. Now I wish I had chosen God. But because now he's my husband. So finally, he left the marriage, and I became a Unity minister. And the great thing is that I get to teach still. But the teaching has gone to a place that I never dreamed of. God is teaching through me, as me, with me. And I just kind of show up with basic knowledge, and I watch the eyes and the faces of those who are learning, and things begin to come through me that I had no idea that I even knew. But I didn't know them, but God knew it, so God poured it through me. And so I show up as a vessel for God, and the most amazing connections happen. But I am so happy that I finally said yes and became a Unity minister. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Wow, two great stories. And, you know, isn't this amazing? Performers. I mean, we have so much in common. I was the director of quality assurance of Herman Hospital. That's what I was doing. It was a performance. I considered myself a professional. I'll just say that. That's what I thought. And I was pregnant with my second daughter. I had been coming to Unity for a couple of years by then, had done some personal development work and recovery work and all of that. And my Catholicism wasn't working anymore. So I was kind of referred here. I needed a spiritual home. And so I found Unity. We were meeting here. This was the main sanctuary when I came. And I was on our way into church one day, pregnant with my second daughter, and I was looking out the window and just daydreaming, and I said, you know, I could do what Howard does. I could get up there and talk on Sunday. I could counsel people, probably. Not well, but I could do it, you know, and I could teach, and I just made up a bunch of things I thought he might do, but I'd never seen, because I only came to church on Sunday, and I bolted, get my children, got to the parking lot, and tried to be the first one out every Sunday. So I didn't volunteer, I hadn't taken a class. I didn't know why you would take classes. I remember I'm Catholic. You know, we were already schooled in everything we needed to know, and that was it. And we came 5 minutes before the service and left 10 minutes before it ended, so we could check it off. Basically, that's how we did things. And so there was no membership, none of that stuff. So I wasn't a member, I wasn't anything. And And so when I found out what was involved to become a Unity minister, I went to the bookstore to find the book on Unity principles, because I was going to be taking my family and myself completely in a whole different direction. And I needed to really know, besides what I heard Howard say on Sunday, did I believe this stuff, if I was going to teach it? And so I took a book called Lessons in Truth that was referred to me. I argued with them a little bit because by that time I knew Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were the founders, so I wanted a Charles and Myrtle Fillmore book on Unity Principles, which hasn't been written ever. So Unity Principles has, but not by them. And so I took the book and I read it one paragraph at a time. And I would read the paragraph and then I would stop and ask myself, can I believe this? And I would try to wrap my head around every piece of it. And once I felt like I could, I then asked myself how I would explain it to somebody else. And then once I felt I had an answer for that, I would read the next paragraph. It was that important to me, because if there was ever a place where I just couldn't go there, then I couldn't go there. You see? I couldn't leave everything and jeopardize everything I had worked for my whole life if this wasn't going to be the path for me. And I'm just like Jeanmarie and Sheila here. I have a soul of a minister. I have been a minister all my life. I didn't know it until I discovered what one was. I will always be a minister no matter what my profession is or what role I have, because that's who I am. So thank you for what a great question. We're done, aren't we? We thought that was great. Wendy?
When was the first time that you knew God beyond just believing in God? And how would you describe that to someone who believes in God or just thinks about God or thinks about someone else's idea of God? The most physical way that you could describe it and feeling way.
Lovely question.
Wow. The first time I really knew God was when I was given 6 months to 2 years to live. And someone brought me to this Unity Church right here in this room. Sig Paulson was the minister. And he was speaking on healing your life. And I felt this movement of spirit within me that said, you need to be here now. And there is much for you to discover. Your children need you. And I'm still here. My journey of healing was profound. And ever since then, I have had one miracle after another. Most of you know that I'm diagnosed legally blind, but I can see. And that is only because I know God, and I have no doubt that God is with me at every moment and is always lifting me up to the highest possibility of my being so that I can continue to serve God and others. That's how I knew God.
Another question?
Strange question. Music is such an amazing part of this ministry, as you just heard. I would like to know what the musicians do to lift themselves up because they lift us up every week, every time, every note, everything. What do y'all do to just get ready for this and just bring us up to that place with you?
For me, it's easy. It's getting involved in the classes here at Unity. It was profound what it did for me. Now, I've been part of the music team for a millennium, and I was kind of reminded from Reverend Karen's story. You know, you get to that point. I had shared with the ministers. You know, I'm at the age now where my parents are deceased, and I'm actually past the point when they left here. So I remember going through a profound spiritual journey for myself. I wanted to be sure about what we do here at Unity. And I wasn't. So I said, why don't I stretch my spirit and get involved? And it has been a journey that has been everlasting. It hasn't stopped. So for me, it's easy because I believe this stuff. That's what it is. So thanks.
Thank you, Keith. Great question, Carolyn. Thank you. Another? We'll entertain another. Oh, looky here. Y'all can get in line. Come on. Yeah.
So I'll tell my journey. It actually involves Keith. 2005, I believe, is when they had a stretch of hurricanes that came through. And I was in Beaumont at the time. Going to school, and over the summertime, or towards the fall, I was in Houston just hanging out at Guitar Center, and Keith was one of the judges for a contest we had. And that's what actually began Keith and I's relationship, and that was many years ago. And I just remember, just for myself, just feeling family as soon as I entered into his life and he became a part of my life. And so it's been a very smooth transition. And I think I can speak for all three of us. We all feed off each other. It's not, there's no ego. It's a family thing. We all lift each other up. Same thing with Andy back here. When Andy came in, he's coming from Oklahoma. Same thing. Andy came in, earned his stripes, and became part of the family too. So it's not a job for me at all. It's just one of the easiest things I do all week for sure. So.
Oh, Billy, thank you so much. That's great. Great to hear.
He actually called me up here, so thank you. I actually started off in the choir here. My wife got me to join about 15, 16 years ago. And she said, why don't you join the choir? So I went to a retreat and they said, I want to be a tenor. So I became a tenor. And I've been singing ever since. I've been a soloist with the choir on and off for a while. I've also had the good fortune to be able to travel around to different churches in the city playing on my own, and also I'm a music director at a very small church in Clear Lake. But at the same time, I look at it as ministry. We are ministry, and every time you every time you communicate your music and the spirit, your songs or anybody else's songs, it's a profound experience. It's one of those things where it's the first time you perform. Every time you perform, it should be the first time. You're making a deep impression on someone, and in turn, it makes a very deep impression on me. And I am completely blessed to be able to do this here. It's kind of been one of those things. I kind of moved sideways into things. I'm soloing here. I'm doing this here, but I enjoy it. I enjoy this profoundly. And these are. Keith and Billy and Andy I feel like I have to keep up with them. They're fantastic musicians, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you for that. Tell you what, could we hear each of your questions? Because those will be the last two questions we'll be taking. There's another portion to this we want to get to. So if you bring your questions, then that way we can field them, okay?
Good evening. I've been reading the 5 Principles, and there's a section or a paragraph that I'm stuck in, understanding, when it talks about co-creating with God. My question, because it says desires in the heart for anything is God's sure promise sent beforehand to indicate that it is yours already in the limitless realm of supply, and whatever you want you can have for the taking. But my question is, because God is good, what if that desire does not align with God's goodness? Because we can desire some things that are not good. And so I'm having a hard time trying to understand that.
So basically, if I understand, your question is, if how do I know that the desire, what I think is the desire of my heart, is actually aligned with God or
Yes.
with my ego? Right?
You're right.
Oh, thank you. We'll answer that in just a moment,
Okay.
and we'll take that last question.
Hi, thank you guys so much. My question is a Bible question, Malachi 3:8. I actually came to visit the church with my daughter. Sheila did a beautiful christening for my grandson, Marley, and I have not left since. That was about 3 or 4 months ago. And so I just need to know what that scripture actually means, Malachi 3:8, will a man rob God?
I'm sorry, that last bit, say that again? Speak a little closer.
Malachi 3:8, will a man rob God?
Will a man
Rob God.
Will a man rob
God.
Thank you. And Malachi. Would you like to field the first question? The one about desire of the heart?
How to know if the desire that you have is of God or of your ego. That's what I heard. That's the question, or if it was meant to do harm. Well, you definitely need to check in prayer and in meditation. And the way that I know is I feel it. I just feel in my body, if there's a sense of dis-ease around it, that is my body signaling to me that there's something off here, and I need to check in. What are my motives? What are my intentions here? Is this a win-win for everybody, or is there some kind of gain that I'm looking for? Am I trying to cheat here or do something? And just checking in, am I in alignment with love? Am I in alignment with my heart? If I'm feeling a sense of peace, if it just feels like a flow, if it's in harmony, and that's really just tapping into your own intuition, and those answers are always available within you, but you've got to take it to God in prayer.
In the Malachi 3:8, first of all, God is infinite and forever willing to pour itself within, upon, around, and through us. And we call from God that which is based on the desires of our heart, that for which we are calling in order to be healed, be freed, be lifted, be inspired. And since God is infinite, never-ending, unlimited, it is absolutely impossible to rob God. And because we are God, there's only one of us. There's only one. And because we are God, if we are taking something from God, we're taking it from ourselves and all of us. And we cannot take within us or take anything that is not ours by divine right. So that's my answer. I don't believe we can rob God, and God is open and receptive and willing to give us every desire of our heart and the kingdom of heaven.
And the only thing I would add, because I'm nodding my head till it falls off my shoulders, is that how can you rob from something that is already given it to you? Yeah, I mean, how does that even work, right? Yeah, so thank you so much. We may do this again. We had fun. Did we have fun? Yes. the next thing we'd love for you to do is have Reverend Shirley is going to come up, and she's going to do a values moment, and this is your opportunity to answer questions from her.
So now we get to hear from you, because you know, as a spiritual community, we value being, becoming, and belonging. And so what we want to hear is your experience. How are you transforming? How are you experiencing being, becoming, and belonging here as part of Unity of Houston? Patty's going to start us off.
I'm living that right now, the realization. In my hand, I have a piece of paper. I wrote in a workshop that I can't remember. It was a friend of Michael's that came. It was on March 17th, 4 months to the date. I stood on that stage and read this permission slip, giving myself permission to be seen, to be loved, to be known, and to be cared for. Through those 4 months, I stand before you a transformed person. I started coming to Unity probably about 5 years ago on a Wednesday night because of a person invited me because they knew I suffered from severe panic and anxiety attacks whenever I attended a church. They had shared with me the Unity principles in their lives and told me this would be a place that they could help me physically handle that situation. I got to go on July 7th back to my church that I had been dealing with things. Walked in. I've lost 50 pounds so far this year. I've cut my hair. I'm not hiding. That church had never seen me I started there in 2009. Had never seen me not have anxiety or a panic attack in a church. I sat on the back row. I did not engage. Sunday, July 7th, I pulled into the parking lot. I did some meditation that I learned here to center myself and be in the moment, and walked in. I engaged over 24 people in conversation that I initiated. Out of those people that I engaged, the words I kept hearing, "What in the world happened to you? You are glowing, you are filled with joy, you are filled with peace." I got to look at them and said, I learned some principles at Unity. That church gave me a hard time when I left. 2 people who gave me the hardest time said, "I'm glad you followed your heart and God's discernment because you're where you're supposed to be." I know it's not this building. I've experienced it the last few weeks here, the peace and calm. Unity is within me now.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. That's Patty. She's very involved in the Sunday school with adults, and amazing transformation. Thank you. Phyllis, did you have your hand up?
As a child, I could never understand this small, still voice saying that I was here for a reason. And growing up in a Baptist church, it just didn't make sense. And then I just knew that there was something deeper. So when I came to Houston to go to college, it was something, when I attended church, it's something deeper. It's something deeper. And I didn't know what it was until about 15 years ago. I came to Unity, and then I, say, okay. And so then I came back another time, like 5 years passed. But in January, I decided to start coming. It was like a New Year's resolution. Then once I made the commitment and started coming, then I started understanding what the deeper was. What I did, I started attending different classes. I had already started reading Course in Miracles and Eric Butterworth, and how I found out about those was through Oprah. I heard her talk about as far as a minister, where she was at church and the minister was preaching about God is love, and she was clapping, yes, God is love, but in the same breath, he said, God is a jealous God. God can't be both. And so then when I started researching the books and everything, it all led me back to unity. So since I've been here, it has opened up a lot more for me because I've attended meditation classes, I'm in the prosperity class now, I've gone to A Course in Miracles, but it's just all make sense as far as there is something deeper, and I believe that I found that deeper.
Thank you. One more, maybe? Anybody? Yes.
Hi. I have been coming here to this church for 31 years, and I went to Unity in Dallas before I moved here. But I was, like Karen said, I came to church and I left. And so when they started the spirit groups in the fall, I said, okay, I want to get closer, so I decided to be a host. And I live in Sugar Land, so I said, I want to see, who's in the area. So we started a group there, and we've done it now for all 3 sessions of the spirit groups. We're still together. We've grown, and we've lost a couple, and we've grown, but our core group is still there. And so now it's like when I come, I see people I know. I got hugs before. Everybody's very friendly, but there's really just so much more connection, and I've just grown so much. The connection is just really, really important. The music, though, even like when I go to Unity or here, or when I go into Bronzeville's or other Unity churches, our music is just like such a core piece of divine that flows through. I just can't say more, but it's just a piece that I don't find anywhere but right here. So thank you guys.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.